Alfred Jodl, the man who became the nerve center of Hitler's war machine. Born into a military family, Jodl's journey from an ordinary soldier to a German general is a tale of ambition, strategy, and above all, loyalty to his nation. His early career was marked by his keen mind and a shrewd ability to strategize, qualities that didn't go unnoticed. By the year 1940, his acumen had earned him the title of Chief of the Operations Staff of the Armed Forces High Command, a position that placed him at the heart of the German military operations. From this vantage point, Jodl orchestrated a symphony of warfare, coordinating strategies that would shape the course of World War II. His influence was pervasive, stretching across every battlefield and into every decision made by the German forces. As the war intensified, so did Jodl's significance within the Nazi regime. Jodl, however, was not just a military strategist. His hands were stained with the blood of the innocent. Our narrative takes a darker turn as we delve into the wartime actions and atrocities associated with Alfred Jodl. His position of power and influence was not solely used for planning military operations, but was also instrumental in the execution of war crimes and crimes against humanity. As a key figure within the Nazi regime, Jodl was deeply involved in the implementation of policies that led to widespread devastation and loss of life. His orders were not confined to the battlefield. They extended into cities, towns, and homes, leaving a trail of civilian casualties in their wake. One of the most notorious instances was the infamous Commissar Order, a directive that called for the execution of captured Soviet political commissars in direct violation of the Geneva Convention. Jodl's signature on this order implicates him in this gross violation of international law. Another chilling example of Jodl's disregard for civilian life was his role in the Night and Fog Decree. This secret order sanctioned the disappearance of persons in occupied territories deemed dangerous to the security of the Third Reich. The victims were whisked away under the cover of night and fog, never to be seen again. Jodl's actions also extended to the implementation of the final solution, the euphemism for the genocide of 6 million Jews during the Holocaust. As a high-ranking officer, Jodl was privy to and complicit in this horrific plan. These examples only scratch the surface of the atrocities linked to Alfred Jodl. His actions during World War II were a stark reminder of how power can be abused to carry out unspeakable acts of violence. It shows us that behind the facade of a military strategist lay a man whose actions led to the suffering and death of millions. In the pursuit of victory, Jodl's actions showed a disregard for human life that was chilling. His legacy is a poignant reminder of the devastating consequences of war and the depths to which humanity can sink in the pursuit of power. As the tide of war turned, so did Jodl's fate. The once formidable general found himself on the losing side, and with the end of World War II in 1945, Jodl's reign as the Chief of the Operations Staff of the Armed Forces High Command came to an abrupt halt. The Allies arrested him, stripping him of his military authority, and preparing him to face the consequences of his actions. Jodl was then transported to Nuremberg, a city in Germany, where the International Military Tribunal was set to hear his case. This was not a mere court-martial, it was a historic trial that sought to bring to justice those responsible for unimaginable war crimes and crimes against humanity. Jodl, who once commanded armies, now stood as a defendant, his fate hanging in the balance. The charges against Jodl were severe and damning. He was accused of planning and executing aggressive wars, ordering reprisals against civilians, and participating in the Holocaust. It was a litany of crimes that painted a picture of a man who had wielded his power with little regard for human life. In his defense, Jodl claimed that he merely followed orders, a plea that has since become infamous as the Nuremberg defense. He argued that he had been a soldier, duty-bound to obey his superiors. But the tribunal saw through his defense. They understood that obedience does not absolve one of responsibility, especially when the orders involve egregious violations of human rights. Jodl was found guilty on all counts. His fate was sealed, and he was sentenced to death by hanging. The orchestrator of war, a man who was once a key player in one of the most powerful military forces of the 20th century, met his end at the gallows. His execution served as a stark reminder of the price of his actions. Alfred Jodl, once the orchestrator of war, met his end at the gallows, a symbol of justice for the victims of his actions. His fall from grace was not just the end of a man, but a powerful statement that those who perpetrate war crimes will ultimately face justice.